Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the National Elections Authority, which has announced the dates for the presidential elections that is slated for the last couple of weeks of March, and the runoffs will be in April. And joining us here in the studio to shed more light on the upcoming presidential elections, we're joined by Dr. Cherif Amir, the Professor of Geopolitics at the University of Paris, and we're also joined by Mr. Ihab Samra, the economic expert. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start our discussion, let's check out this report regarding President Sisi actually announcing that he will be running for the upcoming presidential elections, and we'll be right back.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has announced the intention to run for a second term in the 2018 presidential elections. The president made the announcement during the third and final day of the Story of a Nation event in Cairo, where he has been presenting a balance sheet of the achievements made by his administration over the past 4 years. Besides President el-Sisi, the presidential hopefuls who have announced their intentions to run are leftist human rights lawyer Khalid Ali, Zamalek Club chairman, lawyer and parliament member Murtada Mansour, and former army chief of staff Sami Anan. Several prominent figures who had been seen as potential challengers to Sisi had already ruled themselves out before registrations opened. One of those is former Prime Minister Ahmed Shafik, who had announced he would run in 2018, but later backtracked and announced that he would not be a candidate, explaining he came to realize he was not the right person for the job.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and starting off our discussion right away. Dr. Amir, first of all, everyone was kind of expecting the president to formally announce that he will be running for the second term of the presidency. Now, with this announcement becoming official from the president, how would you read it, and what should we expect in the coming few months?
Well, let me go back in 2014, before the elections were held, before the first mandate of President Sisi. At the time, I remember his meeting when he was Minister of Defense was in Moscow with President Vladimir Putin. And at that time, President Putin told him specifically that you have a duty towards your own people. You have to continue, and you have to go on and present your candidacy to the presidency in Egypt. So I think this goes on that he, as a man of duty, as a man of, first of all, military attitude and loyalty to his nation, to his people, he had to go on. We went through difficult times. The 4 years were not easy at all. It weren't easy on any level. And the president himself said that's why he started his conference at the Story of a Nation by saluting the Egyptian people, because all the reasons were there for an uprising for the people, but the people had this conscience that we have several obstacles and it's not the time to make previous mistakes as we have made. It's time to go into the tunnel and take all the adventure that we have to endure as generation with the current leadership. President Sisi was clear in 2014 and in 2018 today that this task is very heavy, the burden is not easy. This elections is not a piece of cake for him, an easy game for him, no, because we have a lot to do. And as every people in the conference shouted, telling him, God bless you and you would do it, he said, we will do it. He knows that he has to work with the people and the people have to work with him. This is the obstacle, and this is the only motivation that we all have, that we are in the same boat, that he is the one who accepted to take the heavy burden, and now he has to continue it. So it wasn't expected as a political maneuver or a show in the media. No, it was expected because he's a man of duty. Many of the people, with all respect for all those who wish to be his adversaries in the coming elections, but no one really had the real vision that we could have to find a solution for the current problems. He himself, the president, said that so many things are awaiting us. We have done a lot, and I promised a lot of things, and I've done it from my behalf. So that means that there is a program, there is a project, there is a vision. It's not just a candidacy to be president and that's it. It's a burden. It's a future of a nation. We have seen lately what's going on in this region. It's not, our neighborhood is a disastrous neighborhood, unfortunately. So he's the one who knows that he cannot work alone. He has the people. The people were at the level of the conscience. They didn't surrender. We have all suffered economically, and we have suffered from the terrorism. We suffered on the tourism also. So, but we know that we have a course to finish.
Yes. Well, Mr. Samra, we understand that it has been quite difficult for the past few years and during the first term of President Sisi's presidency. Now, a lot of the heavy burden was on the economic state the Egyptian government has been under, and we saw a lot